Hello and welcome to another episode of Bangers and Mosh, the podcast that never deals in small riff energy. I'm Jimmy,
I'm Daz.
I'm Deffer.
and man, it is our absolute pleasure to be joined by Mr. Nate Garrett of Spirit Adrift, Neon Nightmare, Big Riff Energy. Nate, thanks for hanging with us today, man.
What's up, boys? Good to be here.
Thanks,
Oh,
man.
Great to have you here.
yeah, absolutely stoked. So like we started this podcast in 2020, and it started off originally as a WhatsApp group that just sort of evolved into a podcast. And I remember not long after we set that group up, Harmony of the Spheres dropped very, very soon after we started the group chat. And that was one of the first things I can remember us all being like hyped over together as three of us. Um, and then the album came out, Love at First Listen. It was my album of the year.
Yeah.
The first year we ever did album of the year shows, it was my album of the year. And yeah, you've been one of my favorite songwriters ever since then, man. So that's all the fanboying out of the way, I promise. But
Well, I'm
yeah,
honored. I'm honored. I appreciate that so much, dude. It's cool to hear. And we will be playing Harmony of the Spheres at Bloodstock
oh,
and at our shows with 3 Inches of Blood. I think we're playing Manchester, Birmingham, and London. And that
Really?
will be, we have like a long set for our headline shows and we have a short set for those shows. And we'll be playing that one.
Oh,
oh hell yeah,
we'll,
dude.
we'll be at well, we're at
Please.
both London and Bloodstock. Can't wait.
Let's go, boys.
Yeah, buddy.
Fair warning, dude. We will have a stack of CDs and some Sharpies. So if we bump into you at any point,
Yeah, I'll find y'all for sure.
Awesome. Cheers.
oh,
man.
wicked man, yeah, we'll
Love
be
a beer.
milling around in the media area. So we'll hit you up, man. If we see you, high fives and good vibes and all that, and
Cool. Yeah, I'll see you for sure.
sick, man. So obviously, like you were just mentioning, you know, you have the longer sets for the headline shows. Your catalog is stuffed now with brilliant songs. You know, not just the albums, the EPs, the singles. How do you go about picking a set list for these shorter sets?
Well, again, thank you. And yeah, it's tricky at this point, and Spirit Adrift is such a weird situation because the whole thing happened backwards. You know, usually you meet dudes that you click with. I mean, every band before I started Spirit Adrift, you meet guys that you like, that you click with, that you want to jam with. You get together, you start writing songs, you start playing shows, and then once you have enough songs for an album, you record the album.
Mm.
And Spirit Adrift is like literally ass backwards everything from that, you know. So yeah, 5 albums in, plus a couple whatever EPs and splits and weird shit, COVID releases. It's it's kind of tricky because like a couple of my favorite songs, especially live, are on like EPs. So like Sorcerer's Fate is one of our best live songs.
Oh, it's killer.
Just as far as like the audience react, like sometimes it's just the fans let you know what should be in the set and what shouldn't be in the set, you know,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
get consistent reactions, whether it's positive or neutral or negative or whatever. But Sorcerer's Fate was on a weird release that had like a bunch of covers on it. I feel like Forge Your Future is one of my personal favorite Spirit Adrift songs, and that's on an EP. But then you want to, you know, I feel like maybe Enlightened or Divided might be our most popular albums, or Ghost, the last one. So you have to represent those. But then a lot of the older fans prefer Curse of Conception. So yeah, we've changed the set quite a bit, even just in the past few years. But the set list that we put together for this whatever comeback or whatever, we've been on a bit of a break for
Yeah.
shit. It'll be almost 2 years once we start playing again. But it I think it equally represents the whole catalog, like proportionally. So there's stuff from Curse of Conception we haven't played in a long time that's being represented. I think it's just well rounded, representing the catalog, trying to make sure we're playing stuff that new fans want to hear, old fans want to hear.
Yeah.
But it's my favorite set that we've had. I wrote and recorded a bunch of interludes too, so that we're not just standing there tuning in silence with our dicks in our hands, you know. So it's like an experience, man. There's
Yeah.
so, you know, I tracked like some horror movie Tangerine Dream sounding interludes for certain stuff, and
Okay.
for other stuff, it's kind of like the type of interlude you would hear on like a Led Zeppelin album or a Black Sabbath album. So it's just a whole, yeah, it's a whole experience. It's been a lot of fun playing this set. But we have like a 45 to 55-minute set and then a 30-minute set, and then we can manipulate it however we need to.
Yeah, that's cool, man. There's a like a crossover thrash band from the UK called Grove Street, and they played
Yeah,
Bloodstock.
we played with them.
Oh, sick.
With Guar. We played a few shows. Those are good guys.
Yeah, man. They did the same. They had little interludes last year. They say they played the same tent of Bloodstock, and it went down so well. The little interludes, people were like moshing between songs and stuff. It was really fucking cool. So,
Nice.
that's a huge tent as well. Dude, you're playing at Bloodstock as well. So the cool thing is, you were saying about old fans and new fans. There'll be a lot of people in there probably who might not have heard Spirit Adrift before. So I guess like picking that set list to hook in new fans as well is something that you have to consider, I guess.
Yeah, and the sound has changed a lot. I think the core sound and vibe of Spirit Adrift has always been there, even as far back as like the first EP. Like there was fast shit on the first EP. A lot of people think the old stuff was just like all super slow and downtrodden, but there's like fast, high on fire, Celtic Frost kind of shit on the first EP and first album. But like Curse of Conception, sounds a lot different than Ghost at the Gallows, the last album. So we were literally just like, I had a photographic memory of the song that's best received live from Curse of Conception.
Cool.
I know what it is. I've always known what it is because there's one specific part. Every single time we ever played it live, we start playing it and everybody's head starts going like that at the same time. So I was just like, that's the one that we're playing. You know?
Yeah, cool. I've got a couple of nerdy little questions, dude, about Spirit Adrift. I've always wanted to know. I hope you haven't been asked these a million times. I looked around, did my research, and I couldn't see them. But the names of the albums in alphabetical order, is that a little nod to Morbid Angel?
100%, yeah. But I didn't have that idea in the beginning. It obviously because there's 2 C albums.
Yeah.
I didn't really come up with it until Curse of Conception, but I would joke that like, it's double alliteration, so it's twice as cool as Morbid Angel. That was like my running joke. So the next album, which by the way, I have 8 songs like totally done, music, and a couple more in various stages of the demo process. But the next one is going to be Double I. So,
dude, you promise you haven't got into techno before the double I on this one, because we can't go through that pain again, man. Like
techno. Oh shit, Morbid Angel.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. No. And in fact, the Double I, the title is going to be a little bit misleading. I'll just say that. But it's by far like I wanted to really have fun with this new one, and it's the most evil, heaviest. Like there's like no ballads. There's very minimal clean guitar just to make the heavier parts heavier. There's not gonna be any like introspective emotional stuff. It's pure evil and hatred and fucking lunacy, and it's fun. It's really fun,
dude. I'm literally as if I couldn't have been more excited before.
Sweet.
And also I wanted to know, then, was there a particular reason the band logo changed for one time only on Enlightened in Eternity? It's never been used again, so I'm just wondering, was there?
Yeah, a lot of people thought that the inspiration for the Enlightened cover was some Jagpanzer album. I wasn't even familiar with it, but when I saw people saying that, I looked at the album and I was like, oh yeah, I could totally see that. But what I told Adam Burke, the artist who did the cover of Enlightened, is that I wanted Bob Seger Against the Wind, but metal.
Oh, sick.
So if you look at that Bob Seger album cover, that's how it's laid out. His name's like in cursive. So I had a tattoo artist buddy of mine who's done a bunch of work on me in Phoenix do that script, and then I forget where the album title. I got the artwork here, but it's doesn't have the layout on it. But yeah, if you look at Bob Seger Against the Wind and the cover of Enlightened, it's just literally the metal version of that Bob Seger artwork.
That's so cool because it really does like fit the artwork. I can't imagine the normal logo on that cover. So
yeah, and I love our logo, dude.
Yeah, it's sick.
God damn it, I'm spacing on his name, dude. Dan Cap. Dan Cap. He's a UK guy. He did our logo. He's done like Eternal Champions logo and a couple others, but you know, I don't think it's bragging or like ego for me to say I think we have one of the greatest metal band logos, just like so perfect for what I was envisioning, because I didn't make it, so I'm, you know, I'm not tooting my own horn, but yeah, you know, for whatever reason, I always do these little inside jokes to myself, whether it's like the alphabetical album titles or yeah, just little nods, and it's usually to like classic rock. It's not usually to like other metal bands.
Yeah, it's cool because I think you can once you know that and you start digging in, you can hear those little Easter eggs in the songs as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I know, man. I think I'm gonna need to pick your brains one day about the ones I've got and the ones I'm probably missing. But yeah, there's one in Forge Your Future. If I catch you at Bloodstock or the London show, man, I'll let you know what that one is because I don't want to sound too silly on air if it's miles off. So
I bet you're on point with it. Some of them are super obvious.
It's a Van Halen one, but I'll
oh shit, really? I really honestly don't listen to. Oh wait, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the pre-chorus. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's funny because I love Eddie Van Halen, but I'm not like crazy about the band. Like I think they have some really good songs, but
oh, cool.
Their albums, I'm like, whatever. But I know exactly which one you're talking about, and yes, but it was very subconscious, you know. But yeah, you're right for sure.
Oh, sick. So dude, like you said, I know you've mentioned you're currently locked in the old Riff Dungeon there, writing for the new album. Do you have like a list of producers and artists that on your like would love to work with one day list for Spirit Adrift?
Yeah, I mean, right now I have a short list of guys I would want to work with as far as recording the album, but it's all dudes I've already worked with.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because like, so Jeff Henson, who's here in Texas, we live pretty much in the same exact area. You work with certain guys and you get to a point where you don't even have to say anything. You just both know exactly what needs to happen, whether it's if you missed one word on a vocal double and it wasn't quite exactly the same, you both just heard it. And so it becomes so efficient because I don't have to be like, oh, I fucked up the word me or whatever. Like we both heard it. So he just rolls it back to that and I just do the take again. And it just becomes like so easy. Sanford Parker is the same way. And then Zeus, who has mixed a lot of our stuff. We haven't actually recorded with Zeus. I would love to. But I'm not totally sure what we're going to do for the next one. And we might even, I kind of want to track it live as a full band. So we might even go into Red Nova Ranch here with Jeff Henson and do that a few times. And you know, get maybe a demo version of the album. And then if we want to finish up with him, we can, or if we want to go to Sanford. Yeah, I got a few different ideas, but not totally decided. And then artwork, I'm trying to get Eric Roper to do this one. I hit him up about Enlightened and he wasn't really doing album covers at the time, just for like the Sleep Camp and like Windhand and a couple other things. But
cool.
I have a very specific idea for the cover and the back cover, maybe like make it a gatefold. And it's the artwork and the music and the lyrics, like people are gonna think that I have completely fucking lost my mind. Like that's like schizophrenic, religious, psycho spiritual fucking egomaniacal just mania, you know.
Oh man, this is my album of the year already. I don't even need to hear it, dude. Oh, that's cool, man. So, dude, we ask you to do some homework and set an assignment to pick 13 tracks that make up, I guess, the DNA of Nate Garrett, and you know, from the heavy music side, because I know you're a massive country fan and things like that. So this was like specifically your heavy metal sort of DNA. Dude, you had this list done so fast. Have you like, is these things you've thought about loads over the years and been asked to do before? And so it's,
Yeah, I have such vivid memories of getting into heavy music because it was just
Yeah.
like a life-saving, life-changing experience for me. I did do a few years ago, I did a podcast, I want to say in Portugal, where he asked me to do like 12 songs. And I tried to make this one completely different. And I think there's like one or two songs that are the same. But yeah, like you said, I mean, if it was open to all genres of music, I could do 1,300 songs, you know. And honestly, I could probably do 1,300 metal songs. But I'm just trying to doing something like this. I just tried to remember like and go in chronological order of when I discovered it, you know, just those like holy shit moments that just like blew my mind completely, you know.
yeah, and they define sort of who you are, aren't they? Like, you know, especially like I know you got into heavy music very young, same as us three, and it just defines your whole life path and things like that. So it's very vivid. So track number one, then, dude, Black Sabbath, A National Acrobat.
Yeah, so I could pick almost any song from the first, I don't know, six Sabbath albums, really, or maybe even the first eight. Paranoid was the riff that really, like, I'd been playing guitar a little bit because of Jimi Hendrix and Leonard Skinner and shit like that. Like, I loved Jimi Hendrix. But when I heard Paranoid, that riff, I was like, holy shit. I think I had kind of had a lull in my guitar practicing, you know, and I heard that and I went and like learned it immediately. But shortly thereafter, in fact, I think it was the same day I heard Paranoid, or maybe the next day, I heard the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath album. And dude, really, it could be any riff on there. It could be the main riff of the title track. It could be the breakdown in the title track, Killing Yourself to Live, any of that stuff. But A National Acrobat's interesting because Geezer Butler wrote the main riff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. I think Tony Iommi actually says that in his book. He's like, Geezer kind of helped them break out of like the writer's block that they were experiencing. But that riff taught me how to do that guitar harmony. There's like, I look at guitar harmonies like there's three different styles. There's the Slayer style, which is basically just a power chord fifth. So if you think of any classic Slayer song like Dead Skin Mask, South of Heaven, you know, Raining Blood, that's a fifth. That's a Slayer harmony.
They're all in that box, aren't they?
Yeah, if you put the two notes together at the same time, that's a power chord.
Yeah.
And then the other kind of harmonies is like a really brutal sounding, I think, minor third. So if you think of Morbid Angel guitar harmonies or Wake from Little Rock, they use those a lot. And they're even more evil sounding. But then there's the Thin Lizzy, which is, I think, melodic minor third or major third or alternates. And that's the harmony in A National Acrobat. And I learned the single note, and I learned how to play it with the harmony too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so I learned what I would call like a reverse power chord shape from that song, and I have used those harmonies in almost every song I've written ever since then.
Oh, it all comes from Sabbath, man. Like,
yeah, it all does. And dude, Geezer's fucking lyrics on that song, like, I am the world that hides the universal secret of all time. Destruction of the empty spaces is my one and only crime. Like, it's the most psychedelic, like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I know exactly what you're talking about somehow. You know? Amazing.
I know Big Riff Energy, dude, you've spoken about Sabbath a lot, but I'm not sure if have you ever touched on like Dio and Tony Martin stuff? Because I love that period.
Yeah, I like it all. I didn't get into it until later. like I first heard Sabbath when I was 12 or 13, and I always had a hard time getting into non-Aussie stuff until I lived in Arkansas. I was probably 19, 20, and I met those older dudes like the guys in Deadbird and Wake, and they were kind of more there when the Tony Martin stuff was happening.
Yeah,
and so I eased into Dio, and you know, Mob Rules was fucking my favorite record for like a year straight. I listened to it every day. I like Heaven and Hell too, Dehumanizer.
Great albums.
I even like the Heaven and Hell record, Devil, you know, it's a good one.
Oh, it's a great album.
Yeah.
I saw Heaven and Hell on that. It was one of
man.
Dio's last shows, and
You're lucky, dude.
you know, he was. You could tell he was not well, but man, you would never have guessed by his voice. Like it's
he was made out of something else. Some of those guys were just made out of different shit than what we're made out of.
I'm sure. Yeah, that it has to be the case, man. It has to be.
Yeah.
So track 2 then, dude. Metallica Battery.
Yeah.
Is Metallica if they know how to write an opening tune, man? Is this their best opener? Do you think?
I like it more than Hit the Lights. I like it more than Fight Fire with Fire. Blackened is like I almost picked. There were a few Metallica songs, like Harvester of Sorrow is one of my favorites. Master of Puppets is one of my favorites. Blackened, Shortest Straw. And you know, I heard Kill 'Em All and the Black Album first. Actually, I got them on the same day, and I remember like putting Kill 'Em All on, and I had already heard songs from the Black Album. You know, put Kill 'Em All on my like Iowa CD 5-disc player thing. And I was like, this is some kind of mistake. This isn't the same fucking band as like Enter Sandman. And so then I started filling in the gaps, you know?
Yeah.
And so if you listen to Ride the Lightning after Kill 'Em All, you're like, oh, okay. They're headed somewhere. And then when I heard Master of Puppets, it's like the sound of that album, the progressive, like ambitious, complex nature of the songwriting, you know, Cliff drawn from classical music, but then the sound, like the guitar tone, the vocals, like the double tracked vocals that are like at the time like the most aggressive fucking, maybe still the most aggressive clean vocals that have ever been recorded.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Down One or Far Beyond Driven is probably in the conversation, but dude, just brutal sounding, but so melodic. And yeah, I just remember being like, what the fuck is this? Never having heard anything like it. And Battery was the first song I heard from Puppets. So I think I put it on the list just because I have that memory of just being like confused and excited. And, you know, yeah, it's a great opener. I think it probably is their best opener, but Blackened would be a close second.
Yeah, I love the Battery's got that extended intro, and so has Blackened. I love that Give Her to the River's got that like extended intro as well. And I know you said on a recent episode, like was it the record label people like, you're fucking mad putting this out as a first single, but dude, that is such a fucking great way to say, hey, this is what our album's all going to be all about.
Thank you. Yeah, they originally Ghost at the Gallows I envisioned as being the first song, oddly enough. And they were like, you can't put a fucking however long it is and it's slow and doomy and has that like Neurosis, like atmospheric shit in it. And I thought Give Her to the River was going to be last.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then Jeff Henson was like, he was like, don't tell me what you think the sequencing should be, and I'll just make one. And he had Give Her to the River first. And I listened to his track order, and I think we used his like verbatim. It just worked way better. And I kind of drew inspiration from Battery also on Curse of Conception. Earthbound, the opening song, is like a pretty obvious nod to Battery. Those guys just wrote the book on how to do a lot of stuff, with especially Ride the Lightning through and Justice for All. Like, you can just learn so much about how to write a great, powerful, lasting metal song from those guys.
I think it goes under the radar a bit that those albums were like 4 years apart as well. Those three albums within 4 years is just.
And also, James is what, like 22 when they did Ride the Lightning?
Yes.
Prick. Fucking jerk off.
James, if you're listening,
every time I remind myself of that, I feel like shit.
So staying within sort of thrash then, man, track 3, Burnt Offerings from Testament. Killer track.
Oh, dude, that riff. I saw a thing with Eric Peterson and Alex Skolnick on YouTube a little while ago, and they were asking them like what their favorite Testament riff was, and that was the one they were breaking down.
Alex Skolnick gets talked about a lot, for fair reason. He's a incredible player, but Eric Peterson might be one of the most underrated players of all time within metal, I think.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of overlooking him too, because I'm like a guitar nerd, and Skolnick is like one of the flashier, more. He's one of the best lead guitar players in metal, period. Yeah. But I didn't realize until recently that I think that Eric writes most of the riffs.
He's
which is nuts.
Main songwriter. Yeah,
they have so many good riffs. But yeah, Sabbath got me into metal. I would say phase 2 was Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth. And when I heard Peace Cells, I was like, ooh, this is dark and fucking weird and like seems like a little more forbidden or something.
Yeah.
But then I would say the next phase was like, I've discovered the first 2 Testament records and Sepultura, Beneath the Remains, Arise. And that stuff was like even more frightening. It was just like down the rabbit hole we go. But Testament was one of those bands that kind of got me into more underground stuff. And yeah, the Burnt Offerings riff is just insane. It's so good. And I think I picked that one specifically because I have repurposed that riff in a Spirit Adrift song. I just slowed it way, way, way down. So now you guys or whoever's listening, who cares, can go try to find the Testament Burnt Offerings riff.
Yes. Oh, Jimbo.
I know, mate. Like I've got homework to do. Is that the Egyptian-y Phrygian?
Yeah, so it's got a sick intro, this song, but the riff that's like and they're harmonizing it so good, dude.
I love it. That what do you make of sorry, now I just want to go off on a little one. When bands re-record early stuff, have you heard First Strike Still Deadly, the re-recordings they did of?
I think I did. It depends, because like the Cavalera brothers killed it on the old shit, like killed it. I like them more, and I know that probably makes me a poser in some people's eyes, but I think they're better.
All three of us are the same.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but then like Megadeth, those re-recordings are an abomination to God. They should not exist.
They're dreadful, man.
They're dreadful. I hunted down like Peace Cells and Rust in Peace original pressings on vinyl, which I don't normally care. I'm not one of these people that cares if it's an original pressing or whatever, but I just can't listen to the re-recordings. And like if you listen to something that you are certain is the original recording of Rust in Peace, it is so much better. But it's so hard to find it now. But then
it's the vocals, isn't it? On those re-recordings,
mainly,
awful.
It's his vocals on the original sound really mean. Really mean. But yeah, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I don't think I really ever listened too much to First Strike Still Deadly, but I know like Testament recently worked some shit out with their back catalog with the Nuclear Blast deal. So yeah, they remastered the first 2 records and they sound awesome. It sounds great. They didn't re-record anything. They just like cleaned up the mix and remastered it, and they sound killer.
Yeah, it takes a real special talent to like ruin a remaster? Like, how can you make it worse? Like, the very definition of it is to sound better.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's confounding.
It's so
Because even
crazy.
like, dude, Black Sabbath, I'm sure they signed some kind of publishing deal with Rhino or whoever owns Rhino, Warner, somebody. That's why there's like reissues of the whole Ozzy era. There's like these super deluxe box sets and stuff like that. But I have to say, like, even just in the last 10, 15 years, there's been probably 3 reissues of the Ozzy Sabbath stuff, and they all sound killer, and they all sound a little different. Like on one of them, you'll just hear like way more of what Geezer's doing, and so I like that kind of stuff, because why not? You can, like, as long as the old shit is still available,
Yeah, for sure.
fine.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Cavalera, because I'd love to hear Spirit Adrift work with Arthur Rizek as a producer one day. I think he's going to be one of the very best ever, I think.
He's a good buddy, man. We haven't done an album with him, but we did do a single for the Decibel Flexi series in probably like 2018, and he plays a guitar solo on it as well. It's called Eyes Were Not Alive.
Oh shit. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah, I think it's on. It was not streaming, or it wasn't available anywhere for a while because of the Decibel thing. They want it to be like exclusive, but I think at some point Century Media got the rights and put it on streaming. But yeah, dude, he's a busy ass guy. We've discussed it, and it just like, it hasn't worked out yet. Maybe one day.
Oh, cool. Dude, track 4 you picked is a song so close to my heart, defo your heart as well. In Flames, Artifact of the Black Rain.
Yeah. I put In Flames and Death on here because those are the first death metal bands I got into. I think I first heard In Flames on CKY2K.
Yes.
Yes, mate. Classic.
Yeah. Pre Jackass tomfoolery, for those who don't know. So it was all the Pennsylvania guys. Jackass was kind of like a amalgamation of like 3 different groups of dudes. Like Knoxville was from one camp, and I think Danger Aaron and some of those guys were part of another thing. But the Pennsylvania guys were like Bam Margera, Ryan Dunn, and a couple other dudes. And yeah, CKY2K had some good music on it, some terrible music on it. But I remember In Flames being on there, and I think the record that had come out when we saw CKY2K, I was probably 14 or somewhere around there, was Reroute to Remain.
Yeah.
So I picked that one up, and that one's okay. I think that's the last one that I can tolerate.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but then, at this point I had sort of like a spirit guide at the CD store in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, because several years earlier I had walked in and asked this dude, "Hey, I need Black Sabbath," and he was a metalhead, and he was fucking psyched that some kid wanted to get into metal. So I remember going and consulting with him, and he's like, "Nah, check this out." And he told me to get a Jester Race and Horacle. And I think I got the earlier stuff after that. But to me, Jester Race is a perfect album. Again, it's like the melodicism and the guitar harmonies just made such a serious impact on me that I feel like there's a little bit of Jester Race on almost every Spirit Adrift song I've ever written.
Amazing. Like, we've done a whole episode on that album. I think so Def, me and Def, we're both 45 this year, so we're a bit older than you, man. And I remember seeing Artifacts of the Black Rain on Headbangers Ball, just around about the time the album dropped, and that changed my life, man. Like, I'd already been.
I can't
into metal.
imagine being there in real time. That's sick.
Yeah, like Def, we went to school together, and that we played that album to death, didn't we, on our Walkman?
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's we've said it a few times. It's got a magic about it that you can't describe. It's intangible. There's something about that record that doesn't seem of this earth, if you know what I mean. Like,
I do. Yeah, it's part of that's the production, part of it's that's his best vocal performance. And I like Horacle, and I like a couple of the ones after, but Yeah, Jester Race is like sometimes every single element aligns, whether it's the production, the spooky reverb on kind of everything, and
Yeah.
yeah, it just, man, it's perfect. It's a perfect fucking album.
Yeah, it is. Talking of bands with perfect albums, the fifth track you picked for us was Within the Mind by Death. It's interesting because Spiritual Healing tends to be looked at as maybe the low. People always rank Death albums, and it always kind of appears towards the bottom. But I think it's a bit unfairly maligned, that record, or overlooked.
Yeah, if you think that Individual Thought Patterns is a better record, you're out of your goddamn mind.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, dude, I love every Death album. But Spiritual Healing was the first one I heard.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's because of that or what, but honestly, it's still probably my favorite. I like them all for very different reasons, but I feel like because it's sort of half a thrash album, half a death metal album, it was good for me. In Flames was a very easy entryway into death metal because of the melody. It's just like all melody, pretty much.
Yeah.
Death was a step into the more extreme stuff, and it was an easy transition for me because I loved thrash. Like, thrash made total sense to me. I fucking loved it. Chuck's voice is very accessible as far as extreme metal vocals go.
Yep.
So it was just the perfect album for me to hear at that time to get into more extreme versions of death metal. And also, his lyrics on Spiritual Healing remind me a lot more of like Geezer Butler or something like that, especially on like Within the Mind. It's sort of psychedelic and introspective and weird and vivid. Yeah, I like Spiritual Healing a lot. I like every Death album, but that one's my favorite.
Yeah, lyrically wise, he moved on from the death metal trope so fast. Like, it was like,
Yeah, you know what? I respect a lot of these death metal guys, but he was in a league of his own.
Yeah.
And people worship guys like Trey from Morbid Angel and dudes like that, and maybe rightfully so. But Chuck was in a complete fucking league of his own, and he was a real restless actual fucking genius.
Yeah.
That term gets tossed around way too much, and not saying that I'm a genius or anywhere near his league, but if you're a real like restless, perpetually unsatisfied artist that you have a lot to express musically, emotionally, or whatever, your music's going to change and evolve, and the trick is to figure out a way to do that and not alienate your fan base entirely. And just stay true to yourself, evolve, but stay true to yourself and your sound and everything. And he's like the perfect example of that. I like a lot of other death metal writers and guitarists and singers, and he's way, way, way up here. Second place, I'm not sure who it would be, but Chuck is like in the stratosphere.
Oh yeah, man. There's not many people that have both a unique guitar style, tone, and a unique voice at the same time. Like, it's very rare to have one.
And dude, playing guitar and singing fucking sucks, dude. It is. I'm so goddamn sick of it, and I'm playing like easy stuff compared to what that dude was doing. I don't know how he did some of that.
No, man. I've been trying to play guitar for years, man. I watched a live set of yours earlier, and I think you do yourself a disservice when you say that stuff's easy, man. I was watching you playing and singing, and I was like, fuck, how does he hit those? How is he like with such accuracy and singing? But yeah, it blows my mind, man. I just wish I had a bit of a...
Yeah. Maybe it's not easy, but it's easier than what Chuck was doing. I think. I don't
know. Track number 6, man. A band I know you love, we love. Typo Negative, We Were, Electrocute is the song. I think I've heard you tell the story of why this one, but we're live with you now, man. So,
well, yeah, I was I got done with my list and looked at it and saw Typo wasn't on there, and I was like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense for the criteria of what we're doing here. And I was like really struggling picking a song. I wanted to pick Green Man from October Rust because I feel like it's super underrated.
Yeah.
You know, World Coming Down's got some great shit on it, although I don't like the production as much as October Rust. But yeah, the reason I picked this song is, again, it's the first one I heard. The same shopping mall in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, where I walked in at 12 or whatever, asking for Black Sabbath CDs, had a movie theater, and I think Freddy vs. Jason came out when I was 15. And I remember somehow, I watch it now, and I'm like, how the fuck did I hear that? I would have never heard it like today as a grown up or whatever. Something about when you're that age, like there's a scene where the dude's like remembering his dead brother or something that's all sad for a second, and you hear this 2 seconds of this Typo Negative song, and I was like, whoa. And I walked out of the movie and went back to the CD store and got the soundtrack, because the only way to figure it out then was to listen to the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
I listened to the whole fucking thing, and it sucks. Every single song sucks ass. And it was like fucking new metal, weird butt rock shit. But Lamb of God was on there, and that's how I discovered Lamb of God.
Oh,
so
sick.
Yeah, super, super grateful for that. And I got really into them. That was on As the Palaces Burn. But then I think Typo Negative might even be like the last song on it.
It is. I'm looking at it now, and the total length of the CD is like 80 minutes.
Dude,
they go for 80 minutes of shit.
Fucking Roadrunner put them last so that kids like me had to listen to all these other dog shit bands.
Yeah. Oh man, you know for sure someone definitely was like, "That's the play."
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
That's what we're gonna
do. I know a guy who was involved in that soundtrack, and I bet that was a strategy. But yeah, I got to that, and I just remember being like, again, like all the songs on this list, the reason they're on this list is because I'm like, what is this? Like,
yeah.
And so I got Life Is Killing Me, because that was a record that was out at the time, and I'm like, that record's kind of all over the place. I love it, but it's like, you put it on, wait a minute, is this a punk band? I like punk. And then the next song, you're like, is this like, what is it, a sludge metal band? Like, I was kind of familiar with sludge at the time. I'm like, well, this sounds like Black Sabbath, but Pink Floyd, but the Beatles, and there's like fucking sitars. And dude, it broadened my horizons maybe as much as like anything I've ever heard, and just showed me like, you can and should do whatever the fuck you want, you know?
Yeah, because this is like a really pretty, breezy, kind of floaty song. And Pete was capable of doing that, and then on the next track would be the most gut-wrenching, miserable shit you've ever heard in your life. And you're like, this shouldn't make any sense, but it does. Because
that's the magic. Yeah.
But
it's all him. It's all him and them, you know. He was not afraid to, well, I think he was afraid at first, actually. If you read his book, he was kind of like, who the fuck is going to listen to this? But he became willing to incorporate all of his influences into his band, which very few people have done that. Because a lot of times that could be a total disaster. But, you know, and maybe people won't appreciate it immediately, because people need something that's a little bit, they need an easy tagline. Blackened heavy metal. Like, I was talking to the guys from the band Night the other day, and they were like, the blackened heavy metal tagline is just like to make it easier for people. But like, how would you put a tagline on Typo Negative? You can't. No. You would never. You could write a book about their sound and it still wouldn't really describe it. But I think the people that are willing to do that make something that's going to have a lot more lasting value, because you can listen to it forever and still like find new depths and new sounds. And listen to We Were Electrocute on headphones, and it's like, holy fucking shit, like just so much cool shit going on the whole time.
some of it sounds like the fucking Beach Boys, man. Like it's got
Yeah.
those like floaty harmonies to it. It's such a brilliant song. Um,
Yeah.
I'm so desperate to get that book. I watched the episode where you were talking about that book. It's just impossible to get in the UK, so I've got to try somehow.
It was really hard over here, and I finally got it just at the exact right time. I've been looking for it for like 5 years,
Yeah.
and I got it right before I went on a trip, and I read it on that trip, and I texted Dave at 20 bucks spin the day I read the book, and I was like, I got an idea, you know. It just found me at the right time.
Yeah,
What's it called? Is it Bloody Kisses?
Soul on Fire.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Soul on Fire. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
okay.
rarity, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Blimey.
putting you on, Daz. You're the man who finds stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I'll
your mission.
have
Find,
it.
find 3 copies, mate.
So going into a little bit of different territory here, then, man. On track 7, High on Fire, Baghdad, is the next song you pick for us.
Yeah, I remember I was into like sludge and stuff at this time, Crowbar and I Hate God and stuff like that. I remember reading an interview with Jimmy Bauer from I Hate God, and he's kind of a notorious. I love Jimmy. I've known Jimmy for 20 years. He's like family, but he likes Bukowski a lot, and he likes acting a fool and being an asshole. That's like he just likes to be an asshole sometimes, and I think it's fucking hilarious. But I remember reading some interview with him because I think I was I mean I was young when the first High on Fire record came out, but they were like, who do you want to tour with? And his answer was almost kind of like typo negative ish, like, man, all these bands today fucking suck. Like, he's like, I would tour with High on Fire. And I'm like, I wonder what that is. I didn't know about Sleep or anything at this point, but I found the first High on Fire record. I think I got the first 2 actually. And yeah, once again, like 10,000 Years might be my favorite riff ever from the first High on Fire record. And my high school band actually covered that song.
Oh, wicked.
But Baghdad is the first song on the record, and that's the first one I heard.
It's
And
a ripper, man.
holy fuck. And it's just so unique because it seems simple and dumb, but it has this weird circular, like, first of all, the notes are like very Middle Eastern
Mm-hmm.
for being like a fuzzed out, like sludgy, I hate to say stonery, but whatever. But then it like the timing of the riff is so weird. I have never sat down and like tried to figure it out. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things, like, I'm just gonna let that exist and just feel it and not try to like count it and figure it out. But it's just got a real hypnotic, like circular kind of thing. There just wasn't anything like that when that first High on Fire record came out. And in a lot of ways, I don't think it's their best record by any stretch. I think either Blessed Black Wings or Death of This Communion are probably their best records. But the first one, just the impact that it had on my mind at the time, like, it's special.
Yeah, it's really cool. I need to delve into High on Fire. You're more the High on Fire man, Def, aren't you? For us,
Yeah.
they're a band. I'd never heard this song before. It's so killer.
What you get with High on Fire is just supercharged energy. It's unbelievable. Matt Pike as the front is just, I mean, he's unreal, man. He just gives so much in it.
He's a freak. Like, there's some people that they were born to do one thing, and like some of these guys, I feel like occasionally I'm good at like letting riffs come from wherever they come from into my mind, like the really magical ones. But some people are walking around with like an overactive antenna, and he's got that. It's
100%.
just like he was born to do one thing, and it's that, you know.
Yeah, man. Track 8 then, one of our absolute favorite bands, Mastodon, March of the Fire Ants is the next pick, man. The first Mastodon song I heard as well. This
Same as that, I think.
Yeah. So I was 15, I think, when that was a big year for me. I think Super Joint Ritual was on Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
this is when it was like on its way out, kind of. It was like on MTV2 or something. But I had to do some. I maybe had guitar lessons or baseball game out of town or something like that, and so I had my folks stick a VHS tape in the VCR and record Headbangers Ball.
That's what we used to do.
That's what we used to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got home, and man, it was like 3 hours worth of shit, I think. And I remember Phil played like Phil and Somo picked Wrathchild, Iron Maiden. And so that's when I really started getting into Iron Maiden. I got into Killers first. Like, dude, just this one episode of Headbangers Ball. You know, as a musician, you do these things like this podcast or whatever, and you're like, is anybody gonna fucking care about the, you know? But I wish I could tell them that there was a 15-year-old kid in Oklahoma that found out about like so much shit just from them doing Headbangers Ball. You know, he played Agnostic Front too, Anthem from the Liberty and Justice album. But I think and Morbid Angel, Enshrined by Grace from Heretic. So I'm literally just writing shit. I'm like, oh my God. Like, writing shit down. But Hank Williams III was in Superjoint Ritual at the time playing bass. And I think he even had a Mastodon shirt or hoodie on. And he played the video for March of the Fire Ants, which had just come out. And again, it was like one of those things I had zero fucking frame of reference for. I had not heard the Melvins at this point. I had not heard Neurosis at this point. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like I don't know what this is. And there's like Thin Lizzy guitar harmonies at one point. I'm like, okay, I know what that is. Like, how are they doing this? And me and my drummer at the time, I think we played a show in Tulsa, or maybe we drove to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And there's a record store there called Starship that was like a big life changer for me. And we got that first Mastodon record, listened to it on the way home, and it was just like, and that was such an important album for me because, as I said, I had not yet heard some of these weirder, more experimental bands, and they were always shouting them out in interviews. They had Scott Kelly from Neurosis guest on vocals all the time. So Mastodon led me to like this whole other world of not just the other Mid-South bands. Like that's kind of how I ended up discovering Wake and Baroness and Kylesa and bands that were from my region, you know, but also the Melvins and Neurosis and stuff like that. So it was just a monumental record for me.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Headbangers Ball because Headbangers Ball put out a double CD compilation around the early 2000s, and March of the Fire Ants was on there. That's the first time I'd heard it. But MTV's a shit show these days. I can't believe there isn't a show, man.
It's a tragedy, dude. And I'm gonna fucking complain. Every generation of metal bands had something. And for a while it was MTV, Beavis and Butthead ripping on them. You know, I just interviewed Kirk from Crowbar a couple nights ago.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, one of the big things for them was getting on MTV. The Beavis and Butthead ripping on them, you know. And then, you know, if it wasn't Beavis and Butthead, you had, Headbangers Ball, the old one with Ricky Rockman was that his name?
Yep. Yeah.
And then you had the one with Jamie Josta.
Mm-hmm.
And when that started fading out, then all of a sudden you got Guitar Hero. I'm going to see The Sword next week on Record Store Day. I'm gonna be handing out flyers to our target demographic for our only North American performance of this year. But anyway, like The Sword was kind of an underground band and got on Guitar Hero, you know. I feel like this is the first time, like, we have TikTok. Nobody's fucking gonna give me a goddamn break, dude.
No one's got the fucking attention span anymore either, have they? Like, to sit through 3 hours. We used to be glued to Headbangers Ball for 3 hours. Nothing else mattered for those 3 hours. Now people can't sit for fucking 30 seconds through a Instagram reel. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's...
Hey, well, guys, that's why I think it's so important for guys like you to be doing something like this, or my podcast. Sometimes I don't want to do a podcast. I'm like, this is taking time away from like writing and shit. But dude, people need something. We don't have Headbangers Ball, so, you know, cheers to you guys for doing something like this, you know.
No,
and to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do our bit, and we all love the metal, and very passionate about it. And yeah, as you say, like, I mean, the only thing I can think of recently is at least the remake of Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 have got like a bunch of new kind of like hardcore bands and stuff on it, and that as well. But
yeah, that's killer. I was glad to see that, and I'm glad to see that Tony made sure that BAM is included.
Yeah. Great. I mean, yeah, as you said, like at least we had that when we were growing up, but there's literally nothing now. I mean, even like Scuzz and Kerrang music channels, they're off air now. Like it's all just gone.
Jesus,
it's just gone.
Yeah. When I come into my fortunes, man.
Yeah, we'll just start
back as well. Return at
So track number 9 then, dude. So you just mentioned him. Neurosis, Under the Surface. Leads perfectly, I guess, on from Mastodon then.
Yeah, it does, because we got that first Mastodon album at Starship Records in Tulsa. Then we're listening to that, reading interviews with them. They're shouting out to Melvins and Neurosis and stuff like that. So the next time we were there at the record store, we got Sun That Never Sets and Eye of Every Storm. And, those are two of the more chill albums in the Neurosis catalog. Probably their two most chill. But again, like, no real frame of reference for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like when it got heavy, it was heavy in a way that we were like completely unaccustomed to. And so then I started working backwards, and I think the next thing I got was the Times of Grace album, which this song is on. And the first song on Times of Grace is sick. The Doorway, really super heavy, fucking gnarly shit. When I was in Gatecreeper, we played Power of the Riff Festival in LA with Neurosis, and our bass player at the time, he was always like, dude, I just can't get Neurosis. Like, I don't know. I know they're like good at what they do, but I space out. I can't, whatever. I'm like, wait till you see them live. And I remember being right with him when they opened with The Doorway from Times of Grace, and he was like, fuck. I just watched his like mind melt into a puddle. And he's like, yeah, I get it. We ran backstage, and he was like punishing him worse than any of us, But something about this song, Under the Surface, the way that it mixes, like, I had heard maybe some industrial. I've never been an industrial guy, really. I never got into Ministry or Nine Inch Nails or anything like that. I respect them big time. Big time. I recognize that they're geniuses, you know, but something about Neurosis enabled me to get into the idea of like, you hear the weird sequencer and like just noise, like noise music going on while there's like a really heavy metal song being played. So yeah, something about Under the Surface, that song always stuck with me. There's like a lot of tension through the whole entire song, and you're wondering when it's going to pay off. And then when it does, it's like the heaviest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, I bought Through Silver and Blood, or just blind. So I'd read a review of it, and I was the same as you, man. No frame of reference. And back when you had to buy CDs, we still do, by the way. But it's, you spent £16 on a CD or $20 or whatever in America. You were gonna fucking like that thing, whether it killed you, man. And I remember the first time I listened to Through Silver and Blood, I was like, no, what have I done? It's my one CD I could afford this week, and I was like, no, I'm gonna fucking like this. It took me a long time, but I appreciate the genius of it now.
That's their gnarliest album, I think.
Oh yeah, what a place to start, man. But that was the one that had just came out at the time, so it was like probably not the best place to start. But yeah,
no.
It was hard work, man. But I love them now. And yeah, like I said, I listened to the live version of Under the Surface today, and that's really fucking great, man.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to see them a few times, and every time was really gnarly.
Yeah. So track 10 then, going off in a completely different direction from Neurosis, Led Zeppelin, In the Light.
Yeah, it took the reason they're so late on this list is because I was such a Sabbath guy that it was hard for me to get into other 70s music because I just thought it was pussy ass shit. I always thought Zeppelin was, I'm like, why would I listen to this fucking fruitcake moaning and groaning? But my drummer, same drummer that we would go to the record store in Tulsa together, he was way, way, way into Zeppelin. Obviously, John Bonham being the best drummer in rock by far. Um, and I liked some of the riffs on the early Zeppelin stuff, but I didn't like Robert Plant. I'm still not crazy about Robert Plant's vocals. But when I heard the later Zeppelin stuff, where they weren't just stealing other people's songs and like reworking old traditional blues songs or whatever.
Yeah.
That's when it started to click with me. When Jimmy Page started getting into like the occult and the chaos magic and the Eastern influences and the creepy fucking crazy psycho shit. So like Physical Graffiti, I really like Presence. I like that album too. But In the Light is like one of my favorite songs ever made. It's such a journey. You have this we talked about long intros earlier. This one's real fucking out there. It's, John Paul Jones like taking us on a synthesizer trip to the Middle East, Egypt and shit. And then again, it's just like tension and dynamics. And when the riff kicks in, to me, it's the most evil Led Zeppelin riff ever.
That's an Iommi riff, man.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of it's like a later Iommi, like a Phrygian Iommi, almost like a Dio, Tony Martin era. Yeah, Phrygian, Egyptian, spooky sounding fucking thing, and then again, like it goes to a complete different like emotional payoff, almost like a uplifting, joyful, but kind of melancholy thing, and then it takes you back into the weird tranced out shit, and I don't know, it's just to me, like if you put a gun to my head and we're like, what's the best song ever recorded, that would be in the conversation. Like Pink Floyd Echoes would be in there, but I don't know, as much as wasn't always a Zeppelin guy, I feel like In the Light might be like the best fucking song ever made.
Yeah, I was the same as you, dude. I never gone in on Led Zeppelin, in all honesty. Probably my dad's influence. He's a massive metal rock fan from growing up in the 60s, and he never liked Zeppelin. So I guess it was I couldn't like them. But man, I like this song. Yeah, like I said, it reminded me of Sabbath in places, and so I never thought they had that in them. So yeah, I'm interested.
Right, me too, man. And it took a lot of exploring for me because I don't like all the girl shit, like oh baby and all that fucking shit. Shove it up your ass, dude. But when they were on, they were like the best band in the world. And you watch them live back then, they were off a lot. Robert Plant especially was off a fucking lot, but when they were on, I don't think there was any band that was better.
Yeah. So track 11 then, do Pray for the Dead by Trouble. I know you spoke. I saw you speaking about this album recently on an episode, and it's a real fucking cool album. This, man.
Yeah, Jimmy Bower turned me on to this, believe it or not, when I was about 16 or 17, and I like the first two Trouble albums probably equally. On any given day, it's like hard for me to pick which one is better. Again, they both have really, really good opening tracks. Like the opening track on Psalm 9. The Tempter is like, again, there was nothing like that when they did that, nothing quite like it. But Pray for the Dead, opening song on the second album, The Skull. It's it's just fucking awesome. It's just heavy. The guitar tone, it's like a heavy Ride the Lightning type of tone, and Metallica actually stole Trouble's amp settings when they saw him live and applied them to Ride the Lightning, from what I've heard.
Genius.
But it's like Ride the Lightning balls with like chorus on it, so it's like more mystical, magical,
bit
spooky sounding.
Yeah,
and it's Trouble, that they wanted to have the heaviness and the doom and gloom of Sabbath, but with the double guitar attack of Judas Priest. And then you got Eric Wagner on vocals, who is really kind of I don't normally like those kind of vocals, but he has something spooky about him.
It's unique sounding vocal.
Yeah,
like it's
sure.
It's one of those probably an acquired taste, his vocals, I would say, but
yeah,
the more you listen, the more it makes total sense over those fucking riffs, man. So,
and Trouble is important because if you look at the context of when they were operating, it's like Sabbath peaked. I think Doom, if I had to pick a favorite subgenre of metal, Doom would either be Doom or thrash, which I think explains Spirit Adrift.
Yeah.
But like Doom was, like Sabbath was kind of peaking, and then like hair metal came in, and Doom was like not, and thrash kind of like punk and thrash and all this other shit came in and sort of made bands like Sabbath uncool or whatever. But then you had these real weirdo like Saint Vitus and Candlemass and guys like that who were like, no, Black Sabbath will always fucking rule, man. Fuck all this other shit. And I feel like Trouble was the best out of those at like keeping, carrying that torch of like, no, this music is cool. We don't give a shit if it's not popular. Like, it's cool,
And it all goes round in circles, man, because a lot of that, there's loads of bands doing that thing these days. So it's those circles of music, man. They never stop.
Yeah, believe it or not, kids, there was a time when nobody cared about death metal, and there will be a time again when nobody cares about death metal. We'll see who keeps playing it,
Yeah. So a band very close to your heart, dude, I know. For track 12, Wake, The Finality, is the song you picked for us. And this was a real mind bender for me when I listened to this, when you sent this list over.
Most evil fucking band of all time, easily, to me. Like, there's a lot of fake evil fucking dudes putting on makeup and whatever. Back in the day, I don't think they're as evil now. They've kind of transformed that energy into something a little different. But yeah, I got into this band through Mastodon, I think, just like trying to, back in the day, like, if you like this band, you'll like this band, very early days of the internet. But I somehow discovered Wake and really liked it, moved to Arkansas, and like sort of accidentally / randomly was at the album release show for this album, Voices of Omens. And they don't play the finality a lot. I think they've only ever played it a few times, but that was the album opener and they were playing the whole album. So that was the first song that I saw Wake play live, and just like, I'm talking real, actual fucking evil, dude. Yeah. Like tangible, channeling like the worst of the most difficult and soul crushing and heartbreaking experiences that like being a human being has to offer, and like putting it on the fucking crowd,
Yeah, man.
Just fucking brutal, and again, unique. Still, like, I don't think there's anything else that exists like that Voices of Omens album. It's just like, that's one of one, and that's probably my favorite song on it. It's the most, I know what it's about, and not a lot of people do, and it is like, I'll just say that it takes guts to sing about shit that's that real, that takes some serious courage.
I wrote some notes down for each track, and this one I had, so musically this reminds me of like, it's like a river, right? Sometimes the river's calm and it's gentle, and then the river can hit some rocks and it's fucking choppy, and it's the water splashing around all over the place, and then it go calm again like that. And that's how this sounds musically, like shape-shifting kind of music. And then you've got a dude just having a psychotic episode over the top of it. And I was like,
yeah, nailed
man.
It. That's the whole album. That's the whole band. That's the whole philosophy of the band, is like, we are going to take you on a fucking ride right now. It's almost like a bad trip, you know?
Yeah.
Is that what the sort of lyrical content's kind of about on that record?
No, there is a song on the record called Crooked Rivers, but it's more of kind of about, I think, being constantly tempted to be a bad person instead of a good person.
That's dark, isn't it?
Yeah, like, because there's a sample at the beginning about like, you know, the wrong way is the easiest, the right way is the hardest. That's why you get crooked rivers and crooked men. You know, water seeks the path of least resistance. Yeah, but no, the first song is about like real life specific, like like the worst shit that a person can go through, and that's like that's where they were at the time, dude. It was a lot of bands like put on that they're like evil and tortured, and like I was there in person to witness like what these people were going through and dealing with, and a lot of it was they were like intentionally channeling just like horrible, crazy, fucking brutal shit, you know. And god damn, there was nothing like that band, dude. I swear to God, Wake in 2006 was the most evil band that's ever existed.
Is that why there was like a 13-year gap between like albums? Do you think they were just like so fucking tortured that they were just like, fuck, gonna take
that's part of it? Yes, definitely.
Shit, that's intense, man.
Yeah, I mean, they were all gonna die, you know.
Whoa, fuck.
For sure.
Yeah,
oh my God,
I've had the new album on my playlist to get to for a little bit, so I'm going to make sure I do that this week.
It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So track 13 then, dude, final track, Voices in the Wilderness by Thou.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I forgot. I forgot what I had last. Yeah. No, dude, that's one of my favorite fucking songs ever. And again, I remember hearing it the first time and just it having such an impact on me. And I love the guys in Now. They're great guys, but I'm a little they've released a lot of different kinds of music.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. A lot of different kinds of music. Yeah. Some of it I love. Some of it I'm neutral on or don't like or whatever. But they fucking played themselves by recording that song that early in their career. Because I mean, I would quit. If I recorded a song that good, I would just be like, all right, I'm done. It's too fucking good. It's too good. And they've recorded and released a lot of great stuff since then. But dude, there is something magical about that song. It's just, you know, it might be my favorite metal song. I think In the Light might be my favorite rock song or whatever, but Voices in the Wilderness might be like my favorite metal song.
Oh shit. They're such a I've been meaning to another band. They've, like you said, there's such a daunting back catalogue to tackle that. You know, I'm going to start with that album then specifically, if that's the case, because this was a wicked track, man. Like I really was surprised.
It's great.
Yeah.
I had an EP, I think, The Archer and the Owl. So I heard it on that, and I don't even really like any of the other songs on there. I think there's a Nirvana cover on there, maybe, but I can't remember what album it's on. Not Tyrant, maybe like Peasant, or I can't remember.
I'll dig it out, man. I saw them once supporting Converge, and I was really impressed live. They were like really powerful, evil sounding fucking band. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna dive more into them. Nate, dude, thank you so much for doing this with us, man. It's been an absolute blast. Like I said, you're one of my very, very favorite songwriters in the world, and you write songs that I will be listening to for the rest of my life. They're timeless. Maiden, Metallica, all those bands, Spirit Adrift, your music is there with, and Neon Nightmare is there with them. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, man.
Thank you, man. I don't know what to say. That's very, very kind of you. I just will say thank you. I appreciate it, man. It means a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, man, if you're in the UK, make sure you get to one of those fucking shows, because they will sell out. They're small rooms that they're doing, and they will fucking sell out. So make sure you get your tickets to that. Yeah, we'll be back very soon. But until then, party on, dudes.